What Remains of Edith Finch.
A lot of this isn't going to
Ah, du musst mit der Maus steuern.
And I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning with the house.
Beginnen wir am besten vom Anfang an mit dem Haus.
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Viele der Zimmer oben nicht betreten, okay.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Mhm.
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral. In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked.
Also scheinbar fangen wir mit der Tochter an. Okay, also die Eltern sind gestorben auf jeden Fall.
I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Können wir auch hier runtergehen? Ich weiß nicht, ob wir hier richtig laufen. Ich denke mal, hier kommen wir...
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Ich finde es von der Erzählstimme her schön gemacht, muss ich sagen. So, dass du immer wieder so ein bisschen die Sachen zu hören kriegst, was sie halt... Die spricht da mit sich selber.
Have always been uncomfortably silent. As if they're about to say something, but never do.
Also sie fand das Haus immer unheimlich, als sie jünger war.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
Das sieht so ein bisschen aus wie bei Harry Potter, das Haus der Weasleys, ne? Aber nur so ein bisschen. Vom Äußeren her nicht so, aber jetzt vom Inneren und dem Aufbau her nach oben sieht's aus wie das Haus der Weasleys.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
Okay.
Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house. I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't.
Okay.
Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
Ist ein bisschen dunkel, das Game. Liegt aber vielleicht auch an der Lichtstimmung gerade so ein bisschen. Kann ich so ein bisschen die Field of View noch höher stellen? Moment, ich guck gerade mal. Steuerung? Nee. Audio? Grafik? Handlos? Helligkeit? Nee. Okay, also die Field of View ist scheinbar fest. Fest eingestellt. Sowas habe ich auch bei mir im Zimmer. So ein Ding. Na, man kann auch durch die Katzenklappe rein.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
Durch die Doggy Door? Ja, mit Doggy kennst du dich doch aus, oder? Habt ihr jetzt nicht gehört.
The power had been turned off the night we left.
Der Strom war seit der Nacht, als wir... Okay.
For the first time in years, I felt like I was home. But instead of a family, there were just memories of one. Like how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Katzen können nie genug von Fisch kriegen. War nicht von Lachs. Kann ich das Spiel kann ich das wirklich nicht ein bisschen heller machen? Ah, doch, hier. Helligkeit. Aber nur mal ein bisschen heller, weil es ist wahnsinnig dunkel bei mir. Hier ist auf jeden Fall besser jetzt. Kann man was erkennen.
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it. Like a smile with too many teeth. A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
In dieser turbulenten letzten Nacht. Okay.
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
Oh je. Also der Bruder ist verschwunden. Bin ich auch echt mal auf seine Geschichte gespannt. Der wird wahrscheinlich eine Geschichte haben, die nicht am Haus spielt. Also bis jetzt echt mega. Also ich glaube, dass sie das storymäßig so gut verpackt haben, dass das ziemlich abwechslungsreich werden könnte, das Game.
Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
Mach mal ein bisschen lauter.
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit. Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
Oh, was los? Okay, rein kann ich nicht. Okay, gehen wir mal ins... Das ist auf jeden Fall das Wohnzimmer. Gehen wir mal ins...
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
What the fuck ist hier passiert? Wisst ihr, wie das aussieht, das Haus? Also sie hat es ja wahrscheinlich schon, sie hat's ja schon ein bisschen angeteasert. Sie hat ja da gewohnt. Aber es wirkt so, als wäre der Familie irgendwas zugestoßen. Und es ist von jetzt auf gleich für Jahre nicht mehr betreten worden. So wirkt das hier. Guck mal, also hier steht alles noch da. So als ob die Besitzer eigentlich nicht was zum... Okay, das ist Rotwein. Okay, ich habe schon gedacht, warum ist hier Blut? So. Hier, von da kamen wir. Ich würde sagen, wir gehen mal nach oben. Also es hat auf jeden Fall noch die Oma mit im Haus gewohnt, ne? Das ist übrigens von den Machern von Stray.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Ja.
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up. Louis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him. Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
Was ist das?
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
Wovor meine Mom so große Angst hatte. Eieiei. Das Haus ist richtig weird. Ist mega weird.
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara. Edie's father, Odin, built the original house. Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
Hier sind die ganzen Türen auch versiegelt. Da kommen wir nicht durch.
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan. But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
Ja. Eine
Being
Maus.
inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
Also das Kind hatte mega Hunger gehabt, weil die Mutter hatte den nicht ins Essen geschickt, also ohne sozusagen das Kind vor...
My Halloween candy was all gone. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
Was? Die hat... Scheiße. Weil das Kind nichts zu essen hatte, hat es das Essen von seinem Haustier gegessen. Das ist schon ein bisschen...
Mom, can I come out now?
Sweetheart, it's late. Go to sleep.
Das Kind ist eingesperrt worden, ohne Essen.
I kept eating and eating.
Was ist das? Das Zahncreme? Ah, nee. Die hatte so einen Hunger, dass sie Zahncreme gegessen hat.
I ate a lot of things that night.
Sind die nicht giftig? Die sind doch giftig, das sind doch diese Vogelbeeren, die sind doch giftig für den Menschen, oder nicht?
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was
was?
a cat.
Ach, wir waren eine Katze? Ich bin eine Katze. Miau.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
Ich hätte jetzt echt gedacht, dass das ein Mensch wäre. Weil das so angefangen hat.
Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
Hey Lars, herzlich willkommen im Livestream. Boah, das ist... Also erzählerisch wirklich mega gut, ey. Dass wir jetzt auch hier sogar eine... Dass wir jetzt direkt die Katze spielen, hätte ich jetzt auch nicht gedacht. Komm her, du Vogel.
I jumped and I almost got her.
Oh Gott, ich will gar nicht wissen, wie die Katze gestorben ist. Bestimmt ist die irgendwo hier runtergefallen, hat sich das Genick gebrochen. Komm her, du Vogel.
I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up.
Oh, fuck!
And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
What the fuck?
Rabbits.
Ich hab eins.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
Also die Katze ist gestorben, weil sie runtergefallen ist, sozusagen. Sie ist den Baum runtergefallen, abgerutscht und... Ja.
A mama rabbit. She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
Was geht hier ab? Was geht hier? Was geht hier ab? Was geht hier ab?
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever.
Also das muss mega aufwendig gewesen sein, das so zu machen.
Juicy seals. I tore off her flipper and it tasted really good.
Mensch, wie ein Chicken McNugget.
Grabbed on tight. When I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
Bin ich jetzt ein Oktopus?
Now I was a monster and I smelled people everywhere.
Ach, jetzt bin ich ein Monster, okay.
I was big, but I moved real quiet. I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Ich krieg dich.
After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
Ich glitt auf den Sand und der gute Geruch führte mich in ein altes Rohr. Oh, 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 Leute, könnt ihr jetzt immer noch aufs Klo gehen? Könnt ihr jetzt immer noch auf Toilette gehen, nachdem ihr das jetzt gesehen habt?
I got closer and closer.
Ihr wisst Bescheid, wenn die Wurst zurückwandert, ne? Ich war da.
All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Molly Finch. Du siehst auch den Stammbaum, ne? Ach so. Also Edith, das sind mehrere Generationen. Edith ist 1999 geboren und ist zu dem Zeitpunkt 17 Jahre alt. Goose, also Dawn, Goose und Gregory sind sozusagen die letzte Generation. Und dann Walter, Sam, Calvin, Barbara, Molly. Molly hat gelebt von 1937 bis 1947. Die ist aber auch nicht alt geworden. Aber wir wissen immer noch nicht, an was sie gestorben ist.
I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here. Before my mom sealed the doors.
Aber im Grunde ist Molly ja ihre Urgroßmutter, oder? Großmutter oder Urgroßmutter? Da ist eine Katze.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room. We got along, and it was a good place to hide from my mom. Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edith, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Okay.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
1880 bis 1937. Holy shit.
Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones. Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity.
Aber so eine Lampe habe ich auch daheim. Oder weiß ich nicht, ob ich die noch zu Hause habe.
I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom.
Ugh. Oh mein Gott!
It was a pretty big trace.
Oh, Alter! Wie kann man denn so ein Badezimmer so krass verhunzeln? Boah! Ii. Guck mal, da wirst du sogar noch an den Füßen gekitzelt, wenn du gerade richtig am Kacken bist. Ja. Noch eins.
There's a secret in this bathroom.
Dieses Badezimmer birgt ein
It's in the
Geheimnis.
last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
What the? Was ist das für ein fucking Haus?
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him.
Was hier für ein Haus? Das ist ja mal mega verschachtelt. Was zum... Das gucken wir uns später an. Ich glaube, ich bin schon wieder zu weit. Geh erstmal hier hoch. Command Center.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Mom! Calvin! Dinner's ready! Coming!
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible.
What the
I
hell?
hadn't said that.
Oh mein Gott!
Calvin! Again!
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up.
Oh mein Gott, ey!
Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brothers. The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Boah.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Also er ist... Ach du... Musst dir mal vorstellen, ne? Gestorben, weil er zu krass geschaukelt hat und runtergeflogen ist. Boah. Links gibt's,
After the
glaub ich.
funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
Hier kommt man gar nicht rüber, ne? Nee.
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again. The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Okay, aber das ist so eine Art... Kann man da noch hoch? Nee. Da kommen wir gerade nicht. Nee. Anscheinend geht's jetzt in Barbaras Zimmer.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards. Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box.
Ach du meine Fresse.
And she wound the key. She listened for Rick, but the house was silent. She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
The infamous Hookman Killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
Super, wir haben hier einen Killer auf der Insel. Hammergeil. Wie viel Pech kann man haben? Die Familie Finch? Ja.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Oh dear! Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up. But if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Also vom Storytelling Hammer. Ihr könnt es gerne mal in den Chat schreiben, wie ihr das findet, aber atmosphärisch, das Spiel ist es eine 10 von 10.
Police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. And he was. He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara. There's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. Hinges grow.
Oh.
Moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
Der ist etwas unglücklich gestolpert. Er braucht bestimmt nur eine Paracetamol. Ah, okay, ich muss da. Nee, der ist weg. Och, nö.
The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was... Someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara. At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
Surprise! Bravo, Barbara!
You were wonderful.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear.
Oh.
Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Okay, also Barbara war sozusagen ein Kinderstar. Der Kinderstar der Familie. Okay. Mensch, die sind ja echt alle tot. Also die sind ja alle nicht irgendwie alt geworden, ne?
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
Na gut, die wir die Geschichte gekannt haben, ne?
It's funny. All those times I played with the music box and never found the basement key.
Okay, dann gehen wir mal zur Musikbox, oder? Da soll anscheinend der Schlüssel drin gewesen sein. Für den Keller. Ah, hier. Ist er.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
Hier ist Sven. Wer ist denn Sven?
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
Mit Paketen im Arm in den Keller schlich.
I thought maybe she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that. I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could.
Ist das ein
If there's a pattern in
Prepper-Bunker?
all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I was expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly.
Moment, ich will gerade mal was gucken. Das sah ein bisschen komisch aus jetzt hier. Filter, kann ich das einstellen? Nee. Weiter geht's. Und die nächste.
And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can. I know it's out there somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left, or a month, or a single week. I'd be happy with one more day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Der ist vom Zug überfahren worden. Gott, wie kann man denn für ein Pech haben?
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
Der ist 2005 ist der abgehauen. Ist auch rausgekommen. Und da war eine Bahngleise, ist irgendwie mit einer Zugverbindung oder so verbunden, das Haus. Und er ist einfach vom Zug überfahren worden. Oh mein Gott, ey.
I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
Das Radio läuft einfach immer noch.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
Ja, ich bin doch... Okay, ich raff's grad... Ich raff's grad nicht, hier runter zu gehen. Okay, geh bitte runter. Muss ich W gedrückt halten? Ja.
But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive.
Oh!
Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
Das ist auch eine Denkweise. Es kann, also die menschliche Vorstellungskraft, was das angeht, ist echt krank. Also wenn du wirklich fest an irgendwas glaubst, dann passiert sowas nämlich auch. Wenn du da wirklich 100% davon überzeugt bist. Selbst wenn es was Negatives ist, wie jetzt zum Beispiel ein Fluch oder sowas.
I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth. And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible. I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house? It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils are mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Derpy Junior, Derpy, Burpy, Chirpy, Furpy, Lurpy, Zerpy. Oh, bitte nicht immer mit Pi. Lucy von Charlie, Daisy, Tucker, Coco, Zoe, Bob, Shadow, Oliver, Christopher, Schatzi. Das ist, wenn einem die Namen ausgehen. Bailey. Ist auch noch, okay. Und natürlich.
The house, but it was Edith who designed the cemetery.
Und natürlich Dave, the Magical Cheese Wizard. Hier sind jetzt die Menschen Molly Finch, geboren 11. Dezember 1937, gestorben am 13. Dezember 1947. Sie ist gerade mal 10 Jahre alt gewesen. Molly war die Katze. Okay. Molly Finch war die Katze. Dann haben wir also tatsächlich vorher... Aber warum haben die einen eigenen Raum, die Haustiere? Haben wir also vorher am Anfang die Katze gespielt. Calvin Finch, geboren am 25. April 1950 und gestorben am 23. September 1961. 11 Jahre alt gewesen. Sven Finch, geboren 17. Juni 1915 und 26. August 1964 gestorben. Eddie Finch, 8. April geboren 1917 und gestorben am 5. Dezember 2010. Walter Finch, geboren 26. August 1952, gestorben 31. Mai 2005. Barbara Finch, Geboren am 31. Oktober 1944 und gestorben am 31. Oktober 1960. Also ihr Geburtsdatum war auch gleichzeitig ihr Sterbedatum. Hello you, welcome to the Livestream. You can walk into Walter's gravestone for a special view. Walter's grave... Moment mal. I think that could be the gravestone up the hill, right? Right next to you. Okay, also die right now I'm very interested in the special view. Right next to you. I think you mean the hill, up the hill. Next to Barbara's? Ah, yeah, up the hill. Okay. Okay.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide. Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
I guess that is the old house.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand.
Ah, okay. Hier geht's noch weiter.
But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
Gregory Finch, geboren am 12. Januar 1976, gestorben am 19. Dezember 1977. So I'm reading the birth and the date of death in German. So do not wondering, because normally we are switching between German and English in the stream. Sam Finch, geboren 25. April 1950, gestorben 16. Juli 1983. Urs Finch, geboren am 20. Juni 1969, gestorben am 8. November 1982.
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
You were at the right spot. Right after the pet graves, there was Molly, Calvin, Sven, Eddie, Walter, and Barbara. Okay, I'll take a look because I'm very interested right now. I thought the special view on Eddie's grave was like up the hill. Eddie Finch. Ah, okay. I think I found it. Nee, Walter's gravestone. Okay. I think it has something to do with the hole. Ah, okay. That's that secret view, right? I think that was the secret view you meant, right? Okay. So we also discovered this. Thank you for the tip. But I really like the game. It's from the storytelling, from the type of storytelling, it's right now one of the best adventures I've ever played, in my opinion. Because the most adventures I play are like they are not full of emotions like this game. You really you really have the sense of the emotions the different characters had when they lived. And it feels very organic, in my opinion. This so that's the reason I think this game is very great right now.
We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone.
Okay, so they never found him.
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Was? She's pregnant? Die ist schwanger? Die ist in der 22. Woche. Ich wusste gar nicht, dass sie schwanger ist. Mit 17 Jahren schwanger. Pff. And she's only 17 and then pregnant. Boah, that's very quick.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
Maybe the pregnancy is also the reason why she decided to come back to the house of her family, right?
They were both pretty intense.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. The camera's older than you are. Hey!
That's a keeper.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee. I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
To tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Dawn, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph? Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of him.
Dad,
Just breathe. Turn off your imagination. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you need to be strong. Great shot, Dawn! I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
Ah, ich steuere jetzt den Mann.
It's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally
so...
normal, Don. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Oh mein Gott! Alter, wie viel Pech kann man denn haben?
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
Hallo Anne, herzlich willkommen zurück. So, ich bin jetzt richtig da. Ich hoffe, ich habe nicht zu viel verpasst. Ich glaube, das Spiel geht nicht mehr lang. Wir haben schon einige aufgedeckt. Aber es ist nicht schlimm. Das Spiel wird auf jeden Fall nochmal als YouTube-Video bei mir auf dem Kanal erscheinen, weil das ist halt schon... Das ist wirklich schön gemacht. Und es ist ja auch sehr traurig teilweise. Du hast gerade erlebt, wie der Walter gestorben ist. Und zwar bei der Jagd. Der war quasi, wollte mit seiner Tochter das Reh fotografieren, was die Tochter geschossen hatte. Die Tochter hatte geweint. Weil, ja, klar, sie hat ja vorher nie ein Tier geschossen. So. Und die waren auf dem Hügel. Er hat den Selbstauslöser der Kamera ausgelöst, ist schnell hochgerannt, zum Tier gegangen. Der hat sich noch bewegt. Also der Kopf des Tieres hat sich bewegt und hat ihn sozusagen, man sieht es hier links, die Klippe runtergestoßen. Dadurch ist er gestorben. Und sie, die wir gerade spielen, das ist die, ich öffne nochmal das Familienbuch. Das ist die Edith. Die ist 1999 geboren, ist zu dem Zeitpunkt des Spiels sozusagen 17 Jahre alt und ist in der 22. Woche schwanger. Deswegen hat die hier so einen Kugelbauch. Und ich wusste das auch nicht. Das hat man erst vorhin, kam das raus. Aber es ist...
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Das ist eine Scheidung, also Scheidungspapiere.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it.
Nein!
Hold on, sweetie.
Ja, man lässt keinen Frosch aus seinem Gewässer. Ich. Komm her, du süße Ente. Wo bist du? Komm her.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't caught that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory.
I wish you could have told us. About the world he saw.
Nee. Nee, als ob der in der Wanne ertrunken ist. Bitte nicht. Das kann man doch einem...
There's so much I don't understand. About Gregory.
Oh, nee.
Everything.
Der ist in der Wanne ertrunken.
But I know what happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay.
Oh, nee.
Love, Sam.
Nicht mal ein Jahr war der Junge alt.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get. can't imagine what it was like for her to lose 2 sons after she'd already lost 2 brothers.
Oh, das wollte ich nicht. Jetzt bin ich leider runtergeslidet. Gehen wir nochmal hoch.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay. My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. And to see kids in the house again. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal, but it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Und keiner weiß scheinbar, was heute mit ihm ist, weil hier steht nur das Geburtsdatum, aber nicht das Sterbedatum.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush. I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
Boah, der Soundtrack, ne, der ist echt traurig.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out. Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room, until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Louis's room. except Louis.
Eine Shisha.
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Oh, Marihuana.
Louis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Louis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Louis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it.
Ich glaube, er meint damit, dass du quasi geistig ganz woanders bist, als das, was du jetzt quasi gerade machst. Genau wie jetzt sozusagen. Auf dem einen Bildschirm spielst du sozusagen ein anderes Spiel als das, was du quasi jetzt hier gerade machst, so.
He said he started small.
Daydreaming, yeah, that's the right word for it.
Imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads.
But that could be quite dangerous if you do a job like this when you... Yeah, putting fish, or chopping fish or something like that. Could be dangerous. Then suddenly you're daydreaming and then your finger is... the chop off your finger or something like that.
And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. He took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Louis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Louis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Louis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians.
Gibt's da nicht auch einen Begriff für? I think there is like a word for it. It's not daydreaming. It's like bore out or something like that. You're doing all the same every day, so you're bored and yeah, you're in your head like the whole day.
And songs for them to play.
And building up like a kingdom in your own head that isn't existent.
About starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on.
Man sieht es auch so richtig schön, wie guck mal, er blendet auch voll die Realität aus. Also wie so, das ist normalerweise bei Leuten, die Autismus haben. He's like completely lost reality.
The Queen was on her own quest for sinister serpents. He followed the sound of her electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, He'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace.
So. Bestimmt hackt er sich jetzt den Finger ab.
My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. I began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Louis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
Ich glaube, das ist er selbst, ne?
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him.
Guck mal, Molly. Es tauchen noch irgendwie so die Haustiere auch auf, ne?
His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head.
What the... Was ist denn jetzt los? Gotch.
And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
2010 gestorben. Also der hat sich umgebracht auch sozusagen, ne?
On the way back from Louis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
Okay, jetzt sind wir dran. Edith.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
The thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go!
I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask.
Was?
But I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Was? Die hat sich umgebracht, die Edith Finch. An dem Tag, wo wir in dem Haus waren. Boah. Boah. Ach du Scheiße. Boah, schön. Das ist eine Geschichte für eine Person, die auch schon gestorben ist, 2013. Mit Das ist ja okay. Ist das eine Geschichte? Also ganz ehrlich, die Geschichte, die ist so umgesetzt, dass die tatsächlich auch real sein könnte. So, also ich meine jetzt so von der Gesamtsituation her. Weil, guck mal, da sind auch Familienbilder drin. Das ist schon irgendwie... Schreibt what the fuck. Also es ist... Also es ist ein Spiel, was tief sitzt. Also es ist sehr emotional, sehr traurig auch. Und was so ein bisschen schwer zu verdauen ist. Ja, seems to be a true story. Also es, man hat auch irgendwie immer gemerkt, dass die Familie geglaubt hat, sie wäre halt von einem Fluch besessen. Es gab so viele Todesfälle sozusagen in der Familie. Die sind ja alle nicht alt geworden. Da sind ja teilweise Kinder gestorben schon ein Jahr, nachdem sie geboren worden sind, teilweise. Und die Familie war halt tatsächlich so traumatisiert davon, dass sie halt gedacht hätte, da wäre ein Fluch in der Familie. So. Und das Schlimme ist, wenn du das wirklich glaubst, dass da ein Fluch in deiner eigenen Familie ist, dann interpretierst du auch sofort alle möglichen Sachen da rein, wenn irgendwas passiert. Aber ich glaube auch, dass die Geschichte tatsächlich so ein bisschen Wahrheit auch dahinter hat. Aber dass die Edith sich an dem... Also sie hat sich nicht umgebracht in dem Haus, aber sie ist halt gestorben, nachdem das Kind auf die Welt gekommen ist, ne? Das war ja irgendwie Januar. Sie ist ja dann noch in dem Haus gewesen. Sie war ja in der 22. Woche schwanger. Und sie ist dann gestorben. Und entweder ist sie bei der Geburt gestorben oder hat sich umgebracht. Ich glaube aber eher, dass sie bei der Geburt gestorben ist. Weil manchmal sind die Leute in der Familie auch gestorben durch beschissene Zufälle halt einfach. Oder halt blöde Situationen. Basically, yeah. I think that's true. That are true family pictures from the producers, from the people who worked in the background on the game, and it's from the same developers, I guess, from Stray. They also made the game Stray, and Stray is also an adventure where you are in the role of a cat in like a post-apocalyptic world, but it's a basic. Why does this girl have a shotgun? Naja, das vorhin klang aber sehr stark nach Suizid, denke ich auch, ja. Ich glaube, dass sie sich nach der Geburt von ihrem Kind umgebracht hat. Das ist schon heftig, ey. Also jetzt kann ich sagen, ich hab gesehen, ich kenne das Spiel tatsächlich nur aufgrund einer Empfehlung. Und das, was ich davon gesehen habe, war, dass irgendein Streamer bei dem Spiel angefangen hat zu weinen. Und ganz ehrlich, ich kann es mir sehr gut vorstellen, wenn du vielleicht selber Familienprobleme hast auch oder hattest oder vielleicht auch nicht gerade so das sichere Gefühl hattest und vielleicht psychisch auch so ein bisschen, ja, da empfindlich bist, kann ich mir sehr gut vorstellen, dass da der ein oder andere schon in Tränen ausgebrochen ist beim Spielen. Also ich muss auch sagen, das war bis jetzt wirklich das einzige Spiel, was mich echt mitgenommen hat. So, auch emotional. Weil ich hatte das bei den meisten Adventures wirklich gar nicht gehabt. Die Option Geschichte wiederholen steht jetzt zur Verfügung. Wähle Edith, um von Anfang an zu spielen. Und damit haben wir es aufgelöst. Fängt alles an mit Odin und Eddie. Ne, Eddie war ja am Ende dann. Geht bis Edith. Edith ist ja gestorben. Und dann gibt es auch nochmal Nachkommen. Insgesamt hatte sie einen älteren Bruder gehabt und ja, 2 ältere Brüder und sie war das jüngste Kind sozusagen. Also auf jeden Fall heftig. Es nimmt einen echt mit. Es nimmt einen echt mit, aber es ist also Wahnsinn. Also es ist wie, als ob dir quasi kennt ihr das, wenn ihr als Kind so eine Geschichte erzählt bekommt? Meistens sind das ja eigentlich eher so Märchen, die ein bisschen fröhlicher sind. Aber irgendwie hatte so dieses Spiel denselben Vibe gehabt. Du sitzt da quasi irgendwie und dir wird so eine Geschichte erzählt. So. Das ist cool gemacht, wirklich. Also